Welcome to the Bubba Midweek Wrap-Up Show with Lummy and Retz. Retz, how are you doing?
Not too bad. How you doing, Lummy?
I'm doing great. I had a little chuckle when I said the Midweek Wrap-Up Show and the conversation that we had just before the show. Heard exclusively on Rumble, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and I believe Facebook, right?
Correct. Sorry, I was taking a drink of water.
I'm sorry. I was popping out my chats and I totally wasn't watching the video.
Okay.
And I believe Bubba Army HQ, your one-stop shop for all Bubba Army audio. Venmo, PayPal, Cash App, and Super Chats. Oh, at the Bubba Army, too. Red, you were kind of quiet today on the regular show. I kind of felt like you would talk up a little bit more when we were talking about the Dion stuff. We working on some good audio?
Yeah.
Did I get you in a swallow again?
No, I just had to think about what I was going to say.
Oh, I gotcha. Oh, I just wasn't sure. You know, Bubba's always, promoting the short, so I didn't know if there was a short up that you were working on.
Yeah, we got some new Kurt Angle audio today, courtesy of the Merch Crick.
Now that stuff's the 98 Rock stuff, correct?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that she's been slaving away at for the last week or two. There's a lot of the 98 Rock stuff that we have, because as you saw in the binders and just CDs upon CDs, it's like it's so much content, but it's all best ofs. So it's like it's not labeled or archived the same way as like the serious shows were, where you've got a date, you've got a full show, and you've got segments. Like, we're just going off of segments, and we've got this segment on this CD, and then you go to the next CD, and you may or may not have a repeat, but it was a best of from another day. So sorting through that, it's taking a little bit of extra time, but we do appreciate the Merch Crick and all of her extra help.
Yes, thank you, Merch Crick. And Grouper Lips Hall of Fame, Grouper Lips with a snipe credit of $20 super chat. Thank you so much. I hit the horn.
Thank you.
I was looking for it. So the 98 Rock stuff will be up, and I know you have been putting a lot of great old audio that you've been. It's once a week now, right? That you're making a premiere.
Yeah, once a week, sometimes twice, sometimes 3 times if I'm in a really good mood. But been calling them the Bubba bootleg tapes, Bubba bootlegs, bootleg Bubba, whatever the hell you want to call it. But yeah, I love that old stuff, and I've been having a lot of fun making those, so it's easy to turn around and spit them out. What'd you do?
I didn't do anything. That was Macho.
Oh, is it because you forgot to fade and go? Did you forget to fade and go?
I don't have to do any of that.
Okay.
I don't know. He was putting stuff in. So, oh, wait, Macho's typing something.
Had to fix something.
That's right. You can see it too.
So sorry. It's
All
okay,
right, it's no problem. It's all right.
all right.
Listen, we're the midweek wrap-up show, right? Was just plug in the. Yes, we're good now. Thank you. He was plugging his the big YouTube. I mean, a lot of people like that, and that's where some of the '98 rock stuff will go. And people have to understand, like the '98, like Rhett was saying about the Sirius or the Cox stuff. It was in segments. We could upload the show where most of the '98 rock stuff weren't full shows or segments. They were like almost like best of. And there's certain best ofs that we can't play because times have changed. And there's also times that certain best ofs maybe, a year down the line was some stuff that was played the year before.
Yeah, and that's where the bootleg moniker kind of comes from when I call it Bootleg Bubba or Bubba Bootlegs, is because a lot of it you literally have to edit together to make into a full show. Like the Power Pig one, that was 3 different air checks from 3 different months of the year. And you kind of had to cut it up to make it sound like a cohesive radio show. And I love that stuff. A lot of the content that I watch at home on YouTube are bootleg or classic broadcasts where people will take either radio shows or old TV shows, and they will literally make a 3, 4, 5 hour block of programming. You get a show, you get commercials, you get a commercial teasing the next show, and then you get into the next show. Like exactly. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the nostalgia factor, but I just love shit like that. I love having stuff like that on in the background. And, they're not getting the most views of everything we've ever had, but I can tell that the people who watch them really like them and say a lot of good things. We've gotten a lot of good feedback about that series in particular. So, we're going to keep doing that. More 2008 shows going to be coming up here because not only is it classic shows, it's also to promote Bubba Army HQ.
Yes.
And those 2008, 2009, 2010, 1025 The Bone shows, we didn't have those terrestrial morning shows until literally a month ago. So I do not believe up until a month or two ago, those were available on Bubba Army Radio, and now they are.
Correct, yeah. And then one thing also you got to remember, and this is just kind of marking out to Rhett on what he's doing with those premieres, so you have to understand the work that goes into it. Back when Bubba was on 1025 or Cox, Big E 7375, $25. Thank you for being a very kind Mark.
Thank you. Thank you, Big E.
Is that he was able to bump in with real music.
Yeah, that's the thing too, is that it gets really annoying because some of the segments he'll come back from break and it's AC/DC Highway from Hell, and he's setting up the segment for the story he's about to tell, and unfortunately you can't put any of that in there.
Because, unfortunately, those are the times that we live in, and like we said about the '98 rock stuff, there was certain language that you could possibly say back on terrestrial radio that you can't do. So just bear with us. Like we said, Bubba Army HQ will have all that stuff. Rhett is giving you like a little taste of what is coming up once we get it up there. But go for it.
I'm planning to just keep releasing those in order. So the 2008 1025 The Bone shows, those are going to keep coming out in chronological order. 918, I think, was the first one to come out. That was a Friday show. And then 922 was the Monday show. Or, no, I think 918 must have been like a Thursday and they had Friday off or something.
Yeah, I believe we had a Friday off because I came back Monday. Brian from Philly, 10 on the Super Chat. Neil Mounts Blazier, $9.99 on the Super Chat. Thank you so much, everybody. Yeah, I believe we had that Friday off for whatever reason. And then, because I remember I was out at the beach that Sunday.
Saw your girl.
And saw my girl, Linda Hogan. And that's what some of the talk was on Monday. Was Linda Hogan passed out on the park bench at Clearwater Beach. And I took a picture and TMZ picked it up. Everyone tried to defend the drunk Linda Hogan.
Well, she was in workout clothes. Clearly, she was out there getting physical.
Oh, yeah, lay it on. She was tired. She must have run the beach, not run through about 10 margaritas that I watched her drink at that time. But, it is what it is. Hogan called up, and he really needed that footage because it was supposedly supposed to help his divorce.
The way he ended that phone call was the funniest thing ever. He fucking threw them to the burner. He's literally like, "Oh, Nick's on the other line, brother. I gotta go."
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, brother. Nick's on the other line. I gotta go.
He was calling from jail, too. Because that's what she was bitching about, having to go see him in jail on her Sunday.
And honestly, it's funny, too, because listening back to those old shows, the 2008 was an election year. It was September. They were gearing up for an election. They were talking about the debates between Obama and John McCain at the time. And it was funny because the consensus back then was that they were going to figure out a way to have no debate at all. And here we are in 2024, and the consensus now is that some way, somehow, they're going to figure out a way for old Joe to not have a debate at all.
Yeah, and I believe the take on the show back then was Obama. Pro-Obama and get rid of McCain.
They were kind of back and forth. They didn't want to 100% co-sign with Obama. Like, he was the young, cool option. But I think I remember Bubba saying something along the lines of, like, anybody but these guys, which was really funny.
Once again, same thing that's pretty much being said now with Trump and Biden. Well, you know, Bubba said it before, but it's kind of the same thing. But now, a lot of people were. Now, how did you take the Stein? How did you take the Stein Zoom call today? Because there were some people in chat that were complaining because they kept skipping and things like that. I mean, do you see that as this is hang up and move on from Stein, or do you think Bubba is just so brilliant that he was able to make that into a really good bit?
$25 on the Cash App from T-Shirt Will.
Thank you.
I was editing, so I didn't hear a ton of it. Now, the parts that I did hear were pretty funny. Like, I thought Bubba at the, when he was at the receptionist desk and he's telling the guy, like, how can I get one of those masks? And then he's filling out his paperwork that he's non-binary, transgender, and, his pronouns are this and this. Like, I thought that was pretty funny. I do think there is such a thing with our listeners as Stein fatigue.
Yes.
And I think it's the people who have always been annoyed by Alex Stein who just continue to get annoyed whenever he pops up on the show. So I think that definitely plays a factor. But I thought today, honestly, was like one of his funnier calls. I kind of liked Bubba bossing him around out in public. Like, I think that's kind of funny. And
it kind of shows the brilliance of Bubba, because that's for the longest time, Bubba being so quick with, even when that time that I was on the side of the road looking at the dead guy, Bubba was feeding me lines. And I remember that was a big thing from back in the day. You go in the green room and you have your headphones on and he's just feeding you lines and feeding you lines. And people always love those segments. And it just almost shows that Bubba can take a pile of shit with bad connection and still make it that much, that funny.
Yeah, and I mean, he's done that for years. He says it, with all due respect, Lummy, not to say that you're a pile of shit, but Bubba has been quick to give himself credit before for making stars out of, some on-air hosts who may not, not piles of shit, but just people who may not get an opportunity to be on air elsewhere. Some of the people that we've had in the past who are on air with marbles in their mouth, those guys to some degree were entertaining. Now, they had a lot of people that didn't like him, and to this day, a lot of people who don't like him. But I do think Bubba has an uncanny ability to make the most mundane thing somewhat interesting with either his commentary or just whatever the hijinks he gets up to, like telling Alex Stein to write down all this false information.
Listen, people can, think I'm a pile of shit, but when you can make decap funny, then you're just brilliant. As the Fat Pig said, like when you had to escort decap out, and Bubba was feeding things in the ear.
That was hilarious. We still have that video on YouTube, I'm pretty sure. Decap literally came in that morning, and I think Bubba was already pissed at him for something that had happened before. I think he found out, once we found out that the entire, from
the Lummy Investigates.
The 200 Roses story was a bunch of bullshit, and that Decap is just a habitual liar.
Yes.
Bubba kind of wanted nothing to do with him, but he would still show up with no assignment. So I remember he was just sitting in that back studio eating McDonald's, just sitting there.
Yeah, he's supposed to be listening to audio or
just not doing
shit.
anything. He had his laptop and was sitting there eating McDonald's. And I think, so HS Bubba fan here with a good reminder, he didn't watch the video he was supposed to watch. That was important. That was the straw that broke the camel's back, because I remember it was excuse after excuse after excuse.
Yeah, it was the Lummy Investigates.
As to why he couldn't watch some 12-minute video and dispute the claims that were made about him. Yeah, it wasn't even that it was a video about someone else and he had to do homework. It's like, these are claims being made about him, and he just had no fucking interest.
Yeah, it was the Lummy Investigates about him, and he did not do it. So Bubba just told him to get the fuck out. Get your cleats and get a stepping.
Well, he's a big time Twitch streamer now, so he showed us.
Is he?
Yeah, he streams every day whenever he doesn't have a bellyache.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, he texts me about trying to come on for a segment at 8 o'clock. Yeah.
That was pretty funny. I honestly remember that whole the Decap saga. and I laugh because it was hilarious. I think the biggest pop from me during that entire thing was the Hugger t-shirt.
Yes. Hugger, please.
When they pulled up the fucking picture. And Anna was like, oh my fucking God, what does that say? Did he really wear that shirt to a wrestling show?
He was wearing it to Disney.
Big fucking purple shirt.
He's wearing it to Disney, too.
Bright yellow letters.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, look, but that just shows how brilliant Bubba is to make anybody a star. And he had for about 3 weeks before Decap burned out. He made that Decap stuff funny. I mean, it really was Bubba. I mean, I'd say about 95% was Bubba, because even Decap used to back then message me about these different ideas about how he could try to do works, and I'm like,
what, from Splash Mountain?
Well, it's or like anything. I mean, hey, I'll come in, I'll say this and that, and I'll do this, and how about I do this? I'm like, why don't you just be natural?
Yeah.
And let it be natural, because once you start getting down a rabbit hole of lies, you're never going to remember them, and then people are just going to call them out, kind of like your 300 Roses thing, which is why I did the Let Me Investigates on him, because I got sick of him just lying and like coming up with his own shit.
Yeah, every day it was a different story.
But, and yes, Bubba Army for Life is now a monthly supporter. That is for locals. So thank you very much, Bubba Army for Life.
Bubba Army for Life. I don't know if they've been on locals before, but for anyone who is uninitiated, this is one of the 2 live shows that we do on YouTube and Rumble and all of our platforms. The other one is the Anna Hummel Show every Friday after the main show. But every other day of the week is a podcast, and Locals is the only place that you can watch those podcasts visually. You can watch them live, and you can chat with the other people in the Locals chat room. We also have just the occasional like behind-the-scenes live stream that goes up. So for anyone curious about Locals, it's the closest thing we have to like a Patreon, and it's probably some of the most exclusive content we have. I think for all of our Locals people who remember, I did a live stream like 2 or 3 weeks before the BARP video was finished, and we were like 18 minutes into it. So people got to see that, and then the day that we finished it, I went live again, and the people who were hanging out before got a sneak peek before everyone else did. Lummy's gone live, just hanging out, watching sports on the weekend, placing some bets. I know when football season happens, it's a little bit more active, watching college football on Saturday. But
yeah, and I've said this a million times. With Easter this week, it's going to be tough, but I definitely will at some point during the NCAA, maybe when it gets a little closer, maybe the Elite 8.
Right.
Or 16, maybe that, I don't know, go live and just talk about, looking at everyone's bracket. Because being on here, talking about brackets, it's like everyone, it's like the bowl challenge, or everyone has a, problem with their brackets, and no one wants to get down that rabbit hole.
Oh, of course, because everybody has the perfect bracket. Everybody has, they can't lose situation where round 1, when you get a, God, what school was that literally just got knocked out a couple of days ago?
You're talking about BYU? Well, BYU
not
6.
Oakland. Not Oakland.
Well, Oakland beat.
Oh. I thought Oakland lost.
Oh, you mean after they did? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like a first round upset with a team like Oakland, it happens every single year.
Exactly.
That's why. I mean, I haven't been shy in saying that I cannot bring much substance into the conversation regarding college basketball, which is another reason I've never been gung-ho on March Madness brackets and stuff like that. Because I know it's for fun, but like
people bet on them, people win money.
Yeah,
I mean, there's office pools. You get some random, Sally that just picks off because she likes the colors of the team or the mascots. That random shit, and the next thing you know, she's pulling $300 out of everybody. Yeah,
the nature of sports betting, the less you know, the more you win. But in my opinion, like filling out one of those brackets when I don't know shit about it, it just it feels like a waste of time for me personally, because I know for a fact that I'm not going to win.
And yes, it was Kentucky was the one that lost, I believe, to Oakland.
First round exit.
Yeah, I mean that's familiar with Kentucky when you keep going after the guys that only want to stay for 1 year. And you don't have that team. That's why a lot of those teams that have the guys that every 2-3 years usually are the ones that win. I believe UConn is somewhat similar. They've had their team kind of together for a while. But, like I said, I mean, I almost looked at my bracket just to see what dates are coming up, and it looks like I'd probably... Oh, shit.
What'd you do?
I'd probably only have to be able to go live for the Final Four.
Mm.
the Final Four of the NCAA on local. So check that out. I'll go live for the Final Four, April 6th. 941.
Hey, Lum, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going, Iggy McGillicuddy?
It's going all right. Hey, I got a question for Rhett.
Okay.
So, Rhett, when you were at the show the first time, is this kind of like the role you were hoping to find? Because you really seem to have like found your little niche with the show, with kind of filling in voids, that all the stuff that needed to be filled, if you will, as far as socials and all that stuff. Is this kind of like where you saw yourself? The first time.
I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know if I had a clear vision for where I saw myself the first time I worked here. You know, I was just happy to be here, and I wanted to make sure I fit in and did my job to the best of my ability. But the biggest difference between that time and this time was communicating with Bubba. I don't think Bubba fully understood what it was that I did when I worked here the first time, and so I don't think it led to me getting more opportunities to help out elsewhere. And obviously the way that, you know, the staff has changed over the last couple of years, there's been a lot more opportunity for me to step up and help guys out like Macho Man. And there's been opportunities for me to just learn. And like, that's really what I get excited about, is when I can learn something new that ultimately I can turn around and try and help the show with. You know, God forbid Macho Man's not here and the entire show drops out. Like, I would like to think that I would know how to fix it and get us back up.
Well, and one thing too, Iggy, and maybe Rhett will say I'm right on this one. Besides the communication, I think it's kind of getting to know Bubba better, and get his, you know, like how he is, and he may forget things. I mean, I don't know how many times I've told Bubba for the last like 4 years I've been doing the previous on, and I'm realistically the only one that does the previous on.
But today he's asking to start the show who did it.
Yeah.
So he can.
So, you know what I mean? Like before, Rhett, like the first time working here, Rhett would have been pissed off. Like, how does he not remember how this is what I'm doing? And now Rhett kind of, you know, having, like he said, the personal conversations, I think he kind of gets it. Like when I sat over there and he's like, you're being quiet, you don't, and I'm like, oh, I've already told you multiple times, but I know that you know, just kind of forgot. So it's not a big deal, and kind of play it off.
I think there's also the aspect of Bubba realizes what the social media aspects are now more than he did before. Before it was just like, it's fucking YouTube, it's fucking Facebook, fuck that shit, I don't need this shit. And then he realized, I think as the show progressed through like Twitch years and stuff, that like how important it was, and how, hey, I can actually make money on this shit, and this shit's important, and it actually helps me grow my stuff, which, you know, I don't know that he fully understood that before. So that might help too.
And I think Bubba's mindset and personal life is totally different than the first time that Red was here. For the better. I mean, it wasn't bad then, but Bubba's, you know, obviously super happy, and the show's obviously been growing huge. I mean, like back then when Rhett first started, I mean, everything was up in grabs.
And I think, honestly, you know, you talked about how he changes his mindset about what these social platforms can do for the show and how we can ultimately make money. And I think one of the things that helped him realize that was moving on from Twitch. Yeah. You know, it was a big time decision for us to move on from Twitch, because
I can speak to that. I can speak to that directly, because during that time we were like, the Get Fresh crew was kind of kicking, you know, and he was like, oh my God, I can't move off of Twitch. Like this is like our cash cow. This is where we're making our money, and we can't do that. And he was kind of freaking out a little bit. Just, you know, not to divulge personal conversations, but he was a little concerned about that for sure. So as stuff's changing, I can see him, you know, getting a little more comfortable with it as it kind of progresses. And I'm really happy to see that. And I'm happy to see that you found your space. And I think you're doing a great job, buddy. And Lummy, you still don't sound like Kelta, so you're doing a good job.
Thank you, Iggy McGillicuddy. I really appreciate it. And you know what? And I totally didn't listen to anybody on the chats, and you know what? They all wanted me to hang up on you. So
I don't give a fuck what anybody in chat says. They're all fucking jealous anyway.
And now you made me start going back to my Oz. So thank you so much, Iggy.
Bye now.
Bye.
Appreciate you, Iggy.
Dude, look at that. No heat.
Not at all.
Iggy loves you. Right, I saw on hold for a second there was our UFL expert.
Is he going to call back real quick?
I think so. I mean, this is, I believe, the first week.
I think it's opening weekend.
I mean, listen, I know everybody in chat, obviously we heard today, whether it was Dion or whatever, but I know that everyone is so intrigued about the UFL opening week, and they love Brandon the Quad. I mean, what better than to have a topic that everybody in chat loves, sports, by the way, our most probably favorite fan. Everyone puts him over. I mean, Brandon the Quad is the man.
He is.
That have him report on it, and to take up 35 minutes on covering one game.
He's a natural broadcaster.
Of course,
he's got the voice, he's got the chops, he's got the cadence. That's the most important thing.
He was a professional DJ,
right? I mean, he can efficiently move through a story and get you the most important info first and foremost. You know, he really knows how to keep his things organized, and he's one hell of a reporter. We're lucky to have him.
You know, I want to bring this up maybe when we get closer to not 199, BARP for the 199, and maybe we could build a ramp for 199 and have Brandon be a guest mixer, since he was a mixer. He was a professional DJ, did weddings.
You said ramp, and I just thought Evil Knievel.
We have to get him up to where the DJ booth is up there.
Have him jump the cream machine.
I mean, he worked gigs. I mean, Brandon, how many gigs did you work as a DJ?
Well, when I was doing it heavily, probably about 60.
60?
That's over 10 years.
More than Rhett and I've ever done.
10 years.
Yeah.
Shit.
Fuck yeah.
So would you want to mix if we get approval on the 199?
I don't really mix though. I just run Spotify. That's it.
Oh, you just pick the music?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, listen.
He's like, yeah, I DJ, but I don't mix anything. I just play my Spotify playlist, and people really like it.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Brandon, how excited are you for week 1 on the UFL? I'm guessing that's why you're calling in.
Yes, it is. I'm really excited, but I think the Rock's not gonna bring the ratings up though, because they're not even. He can't even get it on WWE to sponsor it.
Oh, he can't get the WWE to sponsor it?
On there.
Well, I mean, look, they're on Fox. Yeah. I mean, do they really need the WWE? I mean, Saturday, 1:00 game, Fox, 4:00 game, Fox. I mean, ESPN on Sundays.
Now, the timing of the league, I do somewhat agree with Brandon here, just because from a marketing standpoint, a lot of people are excited about The Rock being back in WWE, but specifically the run that he's been on. They're allowing him to just go on TV and say whatever the fuck he wants, apparently. They've been bleeping him left and right since he came back.
Oh, you mean that type of commercial?
WrestleMania is next weekend.
Yeah, I
so
gotcha.
if this is your opening weekend before WrestleMania, then it would make sense to have a tie-in.
I thought you meant like just regular TV commercials, not
just
Rock
because
getting out in the ring game.
Right.
Like, hey, this weekend I'm going to be at Birmingham announcing,
either or. I think any type of promotion with The Rock, he's one of the hottest wrestlers on the planet right now because of this run that he's on, and he played a really big part, or at least he wants the media to think he played a really big part into why the UFL is kicking off this weekend. You would think he could at least find time to cut a 30-second spot or something.
That's very true.
Or wear a T-shirt on WWE or something.
That would be pretty funny if he showed up to Raw next week. I think it's the last Raw before Mania, if I'm not mistaken. He shows up to Raw next week with like a Birmingham or a St. Louis Battlehawks shirt, or Birmingham Brahmas or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, but sorry, Brandon. Go.
Interrupted. I just think that, and plus, this is like the champions, the two champions of the two leagues are playing in the first game, in the kickoff game. Yeah,
I don't think that's being talked about enough either. Is that this is obviously going to be the most watched game of the season, but I don't think the average fan knows that this is a champion versus champion kind of thing.
Yeah,
here.
Listen, if a bear shits in the wood, do you really know?
And nobody's around.
Yeah, not really.
I mean, but that's what pretty much happened with the championship game last year about the champions.
Mm.
I mean, think about it. I mean, I guess it was either going to be the UFL or the investigation that's going on that or the Iowa chick. What's her name? Brittany
Idaho
Kramer?
or Iowa?
Don't look at my screen.
Caitlin Clark.
Didn't she have a big game against Stanford? Or was there something with her in Stanford? Or am I reading old news?
No, it was against It was against the first team they played.
I saw. Sorry, go ahead.
she was yelling at the referees because even though I'm a Caitlin Clark fan, she's kind of bitchy all the time.
Her dad, in the video that I saw, she's yelling at the referees, and her dad off screen literally tells her to shut up.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can lip read what he said.
Yeah, she's made it a habit to complain to the officials, but I mean, just like any other big time player.
Yeah, but I thought she was a laid back kind of basketball chick.
Oh yeah, that's what they want you to think.
Listen, this has got to get really people hard on right now
for her brand, but she's kind of a hothead.
Well, Brandon, I'm sorry to get you squirreled on that one, but what's your UFL picks of the week? Let's just get that out of the way.
I haven't even done that much research yet. I'm really excited.
You're our UFL expert.
Well, I know I'm going to watch the first week and see what happens. Then I'll get bored.
All right, why don't you text me your picks before the game so we'll go over it and see how you do on your first week.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I will do that. And yeah, that whole thing with Brutus, like I text you, he was just saying the story about they did that at Hulk Hogan's house, not at Bubba's house.
Yeah, I know. That's what I think I even mentioned it a little bit to Bubba, but he didn't pick up. I said I think he got confused. That was another topic we talked about. I know everyone is probably surprised, but I mean, look, I heard it last night. Dana Rose actually sent me the video of the Brutus or the 9 lives of Hogan. I watched it, and I know a little bit, obviously, about the backstory, from what Bubba said, and then also hearing things behind the scenes from back in the day, even those times. And when I heard Kurt Angle say that, and then when Brutus was talking about, your point is probably right, that it probably was the Hogan house, because didn't it, what was his name? Not Mark. Fuck, it was like a couple months ago. The guy that lived at Bubba's house and wouldn't leave. The wrestler. Marty Jannetty. He even said that there was like a place at Hogan's house that was where they have a gumball machine
it's got
with
all these drugs. Well, I think Bubba said that's full of shit.
But
that initial story that came out from I think Marty Jannetty that said Hogan had like a drug gumball machine. Bubba denounced it.
But Brutus, I mean, saying that there was this Dennis said, maybe it was from Hogan from back before he even met Bubba.
Under the Beach Club, brother.
That's right.
Because remember a couple of weeks ago, Bubba said that they'd have Nick and Brooke upstairs and they'd have everybody come over and
yeah, that's right.
go down to the gym.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Brutus wasn't looking too good. I still got a beef to pick with Brutus.
Looked like he got stung by 1,000 bees.
I got beef with him.
Why? Because of the cease and desist?
Well, he didn't do a cease and desist, but I mean, me and Cole went to his home, his mobile home, and he wouldn't answer the door multiple times that we were there.
But you knew he was in there.
His cars were there. I mean, come on. I didn't know he had that much heat with Bubba.
His mobile home.
Yeah, I don't want to give too much about it, but yes, his home.
Is it at least a double wide? I mean, this guy's a perennial WWE Hall of Famer.
Hold on, listen. It was a home, okay? That's all I'm going to say. But he moves around a lot, probably. But
hauling that camper behind him.
I mean, just what he said about Bubba, it just looked like he was just trying to drop. Well, everyone is trying to drop him out when they get on the camera.
Yeah.
You know, I'm curious the story behind the Kurt Angle soundbite, because someone mentioned it in chat that it could have just been the edit. It could have just been where they cut Kurt talking to make it fit the narrative of like, yeah, Bubba ruined Hulk's life. But I'm curious to hear what he actually said, what the full quote was, because he was literally on the show like 6 months ago.
Yeah, to a year ago. And when I reached out to him, he didn't seem like, he didn't like Bubba, or that he thought that.
Oh, well, he probably doesn't give a shit, personally. I think the fact that he's done Bubba's show so many times proves that he must not have that much hurt feelings about the situation. But I'm just curious to hear if he got like baited into saying that somehow, or if they had asked him, if someone did this, would this be messed up to do? And you know what I mean? Like there's all types of movie magic behind those documentaries and the way they cut people up.
Yeah, true. And plus, you never know if that's what they told Kurt is the allegations or something like that. And then they talked to him. He's like, wow, I didn't.
He's like, wow, if that's true, then that's a really messed up thing to do to somebody. And then
they cut out and he says that's a messed up thing to do. Yeah, you're right. You could edit a lot of things to make them sound that way. And I was disappointed when I heard Angle say that when I listened to it last night. And I made sure to get to Bubba just because, I mean, the whole... It kind of was a burial piece on him. I mean, it was only 4 or 5 minutes, but still.
Those 9 Lives series, I do not believe they are made by the same people who did Dark Side of the Ring. I know it is under Vice's umbrella. But HS Bubba fan said he stopped watching those.
I don't think it is.
It had the feel, though.
Dramatized hit pieces is, I think, the best way to describe it. Because I remember when the Vince McMahon one came out, that luckily for them, that same week was when the lawsuit news broke. But a lot of people were talking about that Vince McMahon one, saying it's nothing more than a hit piece, and I think that's what a lot of these are going to be. You're not going to see anyone featured on a 9 Lives documentary in a positive light.
They're gonna do one on Brutus's accident, his selling accident.
Oh, the accident that
when he broke his face.
Well, I think I think Vice last night premiered the Brutus episode, not the 9 Lives one though. I think there was one just on Brutus, and I don't think
the Ring one.
Yeah, Dark Side of the Ring with Brutus, and I don't think Bubba was mentioned, so I didn't even bother listening to it.
No, Brutus was just jealous he didn't get invited to the Den of Sin back in the day. So
I think he was just jealous that Bubba took his spot as best friend, and then Hogan completely dropped him because I guess. Another thing that was said during his Dark Side of the Ring was when Hogan got his new wife, he just completely changed his number and cut off Broody. So I think Brutus just has a bone to pick.
Or when he got Jennifer, you mean?
The
newest one.
The newest one.
Oh, Sky.
Yeah, I mean. That's what I was told. I was told it was from the new girl. I mean, who knows? It could have been Jennifer too. I mean, who knows when's the last time Brutus even talked to Hogan? But that's why. And the people always complain.
His best friend now.
Well, yeah, but Jesus is his friend. But people have to understand, like seeing stuff like that for Bubba. I mean, that's why Bubba, talks about it a lot, and people just have to understand that this is way that Bubba can vent on it.
It was a major part of his life.
Exactly. And, I mean, Bubba didn't go too long on it. I mean, some people may be happy that Stein was coming on, but I felt like Bubba could have made that a whole entire, long segment.
Could have made it a 4-hour show. He does it sometimes. If he gets on that Hogan tangent, we know how it goes. But, again, Brandon, like you said, it's a huge part of his life. And I think what gets to him the most is that for most people, when they talk about Hulk Hogan or they talk about that situation, on the forefront of their minds is the assumption that Bubba the Love Sponge fucked over Hulk Hogan.
Yep.
And that's what drives him insane. It's kind of like the opposite effect that Decap had. Decap heard that there was a hit piece about him and he just found every reason not to watch it. If Bubba thinks he may possibly be mentioned in a documentary, even if it's for 10 seconds, he's going to watch the entire thing 5 times.
Yeah, but you got to think too. Is look at Brutus and Kurt. I mean, if you were just a wrestling fan, didn't listen to Bubba the Love Sponge, and you watch all the hit pieces that have been on him over the years, right then and there, what would your assumption be? And if you watch if you're a huge Hogan fan and you watch 9 Lives of Hogan, you're going to say, fuck, man, Bubba fucked over that guy. And it's just going to sit in your mind. And then what are you going to believe? Bubba on his air talking about it, or Brutus that was included on the doc?
Brutus, who was barely even fucking there.
Yeah, and Kurt Angle that, never really even hung out with Hogan, but they had him there. I mean, it's just...
Did we ever find out who that other guy is, and where they didn't say his name?
They said his name sometime in the beginning. I'd have to go back and look. I didn't really deep dive into that guy.
Was it like a K5 blurred face thing?
A historian or something.
I thought he looked like a dark man, Tom Bean.
Oh, the one guy
with the fluffy white hair and the goatee. I thought he just looked like the dark man. I didn't want to, because I thought maybe that would piss Bubba off if I said that.
Yeah,
because that guy.
I can't wait for the documentary to come out.
Yeah, another thing that was mentioned on the podcast, I think, for a minute. I know.
Kind of not.
Kind of not.
You know how it is. If you know, you know.
Exactly, Brandon. If you know, you know.
That was a great podcast yesterday.
It was pretty good. It was funny.
Yeah, it was a really good podcast. So I'm glad you downloaded it, Brandon. And Iggy says you're Cobra in the phone right now because it keeps going in and out. But Brandon, you got anything else for us?
No, just because they're having tornado drills.
What? Oh, is there really bad weather up there?
Yeah.
No, they're just it's a yearly tornado drill. They don't just want to make sure everybody knows what to do.
Or what do you do during a tornado? Do you roll your ass downstairs, or how do you get downstairs?
No,
anchors down.
Well, I did have an elevator, but it's too slow. I'd be screwed.
So does your mom just leave you upstairs during a tornado?
Well, she called me and tell me to get my ass downstairs. I do have an elevator.
Oh, okay, but it's too slow. Well, let's just keep you safe, Brandon. We don't have to have that problem, but thank you, Brandon. We appreciate it.
All right, dude. Thank you, guys. I'm going to watch the games this weekend.
All right, man.
All right, bye.
See
you, Brandon.
Speaking of the podcast, I guess it was a good one. And obviously our headline for the show, major changes going on. Brett, how do you want to dive into that one?
You speechless?
I'm speechless. I mean, it's, big news.
Well, there's a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of contingency on if this happens, then this will happen. But at first, we need this to happen. Now, this happening is, of course, what Bubba referred to and what Clem and Kush were talking about is the addition of a third member of their show, changing up the franchise, adding another face to not only the morning show, but Clem and Kush, the entire show. And that is one Brent Hatley, who has been kind of floating around here the last couple of years. He comes on the air. He does a podcast with Bubba occasionally, but they've been working on some stuff outside of the entire radio show.
The Killer Bees.
Right. That show, shit, man. I couldn't tell you the last time they did a Killer Bees.
Came on strong, and then maybe, I think, Babyface. Babyface has killed a couple other shows. I think he went on a couple cruises. And
talking about the sports show?
And the Killer Bees show.
Is that what you're alluding to?
Yeah, the Killer Bees show went away, and then he joined the sports show, and then he got too busy. And
he didn't have time to do a show with us anymore.
Exactly. Hold on. Before we deep dive into it, let's just get to 703.
Hey, Lummy, it's Gary. How's it going?
Hello, Gary.
Hey, I just wanted to add a little more context to the Kurt thing real quick. I know you guys are moving on, so I'll make it fast. But
is this Gary D.
if you remember...
This is Gary D. Cantrell.
What's up?
Well, you sounded different, Gary D. Cantrell, and you're supposed to always, when you call up, no matter if it's on the main show or after show, you're supposed to say Gary D. Cantrell.
I understand, and I apologize. It's very wordy, but yes. I just wanted to say about Kurt Angle. I don't know if you remember this, but back in September of 22, I was texting you. I was at a wrestling convention, and I saw him, and I said, dude, you think I should approach him to see if he'll want to come back on the show? And you were like, yeah, I don't think it would be a problem. I don't think there's any issue there. And so I approached his handler, and his handler got with him, and there was, no issue. So I just wanted to add that, he never, it wasn't like he was visibly like, oh, wait, why the fuck would I go on that show or anything like that? He's like, oh, yeah, here's my contact.
Yeah, because remember, I started emailing back and forth, and then I had a good amount of correspondence.
Yeah, he's never had to second guess coming on the show. He's never had to respond back and be like, let me check with my people to see if it's a good idea. Kurt Angle is so beyond all of that he doesn't care, which again leads me to believe that he doesn't personally have a problem with Bubba. And I think that there is some missing context in that particular clip of him saying, that's a real messed up thing to do. Because a lot of people, even in our chat, and I think I said it earlier, Gary, you would probably agree, that definitely didn't sound like it was the full quote from Kurt Angle.
No, not at all. And I just wanted to add that because, context is so important, and it seems to get lost, especially when people are talking about Bubba, because they're just looking to throw him under the bus any chance they get, which really, is very upsetting. So I just wanted to add that, first person context to it as well, because I was there. I walked up to the guy's hand, it was no problem at all. You would think that if it was the other way, they'd be like, oh, no, or they would say something something to get me to go away or something like that. But they're like, oh, no, here's the information. I texted Lummy the information. He got a hold of him right away. And he came on the show with, what was it, like 2 weeks later, Lummy?
Yeah, we just had to get the times working to go on Zoom and then, do the after show and stuff like that. So, yeah, it was a couple weeks right after that.
Yeah.
And he was on for like 30 minutes.
That's all. I just wanted to add that in there.
Well, thank you,
So
Gary D. Cantrell.
No problem.
Have a great
All right, take care, guys.
Appreciate you, Gary.
So, how did they lay out the Brent thing? Did they talk about him just doing the one podcast, or
they had talked about, and maybe this is breaking news because I am going off of memory here, so if I speak out of turn, then obviously I'm going to catch shit for it, and it'll be my fault, not yours. But they had talked about Brent coming back to be a permanent member of Clem and Kush. He would do the podcast with them every Wednesday, and Wednesday is the day that they decided on because of his schedule. I think Wednesdays are the only day he'd actually be able to commit 7 hours worth of time to helping out the show. So,
and their
on
podcast,
Wednesdays,
their podcast would be during this time slot.
Yes, it would, which means our show would move, and we'll talk about that in a second. But the plan for Brent would be for him to be the Wednesday guest. He would do 6 to 10 a.m. on the show.
Oh, nice.
Be a part of the lineup, and then do a podcast with Bubba and or Seth after the main show. And I think their goal is to have that happen every single Wednesday, which would mean that the new and improved midweek wrap-up show would be looking for another time slot.
Nice.
Yeah.
Moving around. Mm-hmm. Now, I'm guessing because it's a Clem and Kush podcast, that the midweek show probably wouldn't make any sense on Tuesday.
That's what I would think, and this is obviously a conversation we've got to have with Bubba.
Do we rebrand again?
I think we just drop the midweek and we just call it the wrap-up show. If it's on Thursday, you can kind of get away with
Thursday might be
wrap-up.
Thursday might be a little bit better if we do the wrap up. Otherwise, we got to rebrand the show for the sixth time, I think.
The Fat Pig, the early week wrap-up show on Tuesday. Wrapping up Monday and Tuesday.
Yeah, because we've been multiple names here. Ever since, technically, our first name
was
the first time
the
you
shower
were on.
Show.
Oh, I guess so.
That was the first show you and I ever did together. Was you, me, and Seth on the shower show, and we would do it on Sunday mornings.
Yeah, that's right.
It from FMB.
And then that moved around, and then we finally found a home on Wednesday, but it was Wednesday technically after the Uncensored show. I said Jay Leno, but I'm starting to feel like we're the Carson Daly of late night. We finally moved into the after show after the big show, and we're getting moved around. But, listen, Seinfeld moved around a couple times. But... but it hasn't been official when they're going to start, though. So
that's the thing, is that I said earlier that this is all contingent on Brent coming back, and I'm not going to say that there's a possibility that doesn't happen. It's already been announced. I think it's a 95%. I just meant what day, does it start the third, fourth week of April, the third week, second week, first week. So I think it all depends on that, and I think Brent would be a great add-on, obviously, to the show. Yeah, I think Brent's good for the show. Brent's, such a recluse now on the internet that whenever he pops up, people are flocking to see where he's at because he doesn't make his content as readily available as it used to be. He's not doing a Twitch show 5 days a week anymore. He's, I think, doing an occasional podcast appearance. Every now and again, he comes on our show, and people love him with Bubba. I mean, the views will tell you that. The Killer Bees, as a podcast, used to do really good downloads, and anytime he's in studio, there's an appearance from 3 years ago of him and Caitlin coming into studio, and it's at like 25,000 views on our YouTube, which for a show clip is really good. Yeah, I wonder if Caitlin will be adding with him on some Wednesdays. I'm sure some of them. Iggy McGillicuddy said free ballin' Fridays. They said maybe we should go to Fridays, but that is the Anna Hummel time slot, everyone. So if we have to go to Tuesdays, maybe we just change the name. Or if we maybe can talk to Bubba and talk about maybe trying to do Thursday, maybe move the 2 Live Jew to another day, and we could still be the midweek show. Yeah, that would be the biggest thing that we would have to get approved, is moving that show from Thursday to Tuesday, which again It doesn't really change anyone's schedule. It changes when you leave the station that day, but I would think people would want to leave earlier later in the week than later in the week.
Exactly. Get their weekend started early.
Mm-hmm.
Or even their Thursday started early. So that is the big announcement. I'm happy. I like Brent. Brent's a great guy. Radio legend. I think Alex Stein says that's his like second or third favorite radio personality.
You don't have any of the Brent concert buttons up there, do you? Brent Hatley.
I would have to look for
He's
it.
a fucking man.
I don't want to get YouTube to come after us.
Brent Hatley needs a fucking tan.
Oh, I don't even see it. I don't think we do. No. Wait, what's this one?
Ooh.
Oh, no. Why isn't this going? No, I don't see it. Bands.
Oh, there we go.
Nope. Can't.
That's
play that.
a lot.
Can't play that either. Can't play that. Wait.
Oh.
No.
Oh. Alphabetical order, I thought.
Oh, I'm not touching that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff will get us in trouble because I don't think. Yeah, I don't think we can. I don't think there's anything to play.
That's okay.
I mean, the only memorable one that we could probably play with Brent in it would be this one.
Can't even hear it, brother.
I know. Hold on. Which one is it now?
Hey, where's my?
Oh yeah, his 10 pizzoints.
Hey, where's my points for coming up with a reality show?
Oh,
That wasn't
that's
even
not
Brent.
the one. Damn it. Well, it was about the when Hogan made all that money from the Post cereal or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm. From the lawsuit.
Yeah, whatever.
The fucking the cocoa pebbles,
Yeah,
fruity pebbles.
Exactly. Damn it, now I gotta get back there because Zoom morning copy. Get back on there for that. Let's see if this is the right one.
Mm-hmm.
Uh-oh. Oh, wait, why is it on different? Oh, man. Okay. All right, we're good now. Thank God.
What'd you do that for?
I don't know. I just want to make sure that it was all fired up, ready to go. So when Bubba comes back here. Yeah, the Terry Boulder. But yeah.
Terry fucking Boulder.
Yeah, that thank you.
I can't believe they named him Terry.
Yeah, exactly. It made him look exactly like it.
No, I think it was it Bulk Boulder or was it Terry Boulder?
It was Terry Boulder because that's what Hulk Hogan used to use.
Way.
Yeah. I mean, that commercial was. Yeah, I mean, it was dead on that it was Hogan.
If you Google Terry Boulder, of course, Hulk Hogan is the first thing that pops up.
Oh, did you Google it?
It doesn't even show you the picture of the guy in the ad. It just shows you Hulk Hogan. Yeah. It pulls up his bio page. Hulk Hogan, American pro wrestler, 70 years old.
Jeez.
Married Sky Daily in 2023.
Hey, there you go. Terry Boulder, though. But yeah, he said it before that was his original name or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So
did he come up with it when he was wrestling 400 days a year?
Yeah. You know how he was able to do that. They said because he would go to Japan and then fly back time slots. So the time were...
Yeah, same flight from Japan. He was talking to Kerry Von Erich about not killing himself.
Exactly, which that's a great short on our YouTube, which that movie, I believe, is still coming out here pretty soon.
It already came out.
Did it?
The Von Erich one? Yeah, it came out like a couple months ago. A lot of people loved it. They were really upset and bummed out by it.
Was it on Netflix? Where was it at?
It was in movie theaters.
Really?
I don't know where it's at now. I assume you can like rent it on Prime or something.
Oh, I was looking forward to watching it. I'm guessing that, but I'm not going to pay for it.
Amazon Prime. It's out. Depressing but good, says Hinstar. Iggy McGillicuddy said it was pretty lame.
Oh, well, I'll go with Iggy's thing and probably just not even watch it.
You know what I have been watching over the last weekend, and I need to finish it. I started that Nickelodeon documentary.
Yeah.
The Quiet on Set. I'm two episodes in.
Was that any good?
It's pretty good. I mean, I think it's I think it's good because I grew up watching these shows. Like, I'm familiar with a lot of the talent. A lot of the interviews are all people that I remember seeing on TV. You know, Dan Schneider was the showrunner and creator for so many Nickelodeon sitcoms that they did back in the day. Like, this is all shit that I remember watching live.
Did you masturbate to a lot of the chicks that were in those shows?
No.
I mean, Bubba said that he thought about the one girl that's over 18, but...
As long as she's over 18, of course.
But I mean, yeah.
No, I did not at the time. When I was watching those shows, it was like before I was masturbating. Once I figured out how to masturbate, I was done watching Nickelodeon. I was like, fuck that, dude. I don't need to watch cartoons anymore.
Well, it wasn't just cartoons. I mean, you had the girls that were your age.
Yeah,
at that
I
point.
guess. I guess, but I don't know.
You just don't want to say if you were, hitting the bud to it. I mean, HS Bubba fan already said.
To kids shows?
When you were their age, though.
No.
Hold on. You're telling me, back in the day when I was 13, 14, 15, masturbating, and you had, Topanga and Boy Meets World.
Nope.
Kelly from, she was on 90210 at that point.
When I was that age.
What?
Back in the day in the WWF and the Attitude Era and shit, there was a lot of naked diva wrestlers, and that was the stuff that I was watching at the time.
Like
it
Sable?
wasn't, like Sable, like Trish Stratus, Stacy Keibler's my favorite. That was what I was watching. I wasn't watching like kids shows and taking my bad guy around the corner around the farm.
And Tina, I have to say, Kelly Kapowski, but Tiffany Amber Thiessen was on 90210, and she looked way hotter. That's what I was trying to say. Yes, she was on Saved by the Bell, but I wasn't watching Saved by the Bell clips and taking my bad guy around the farm. I was watching 90210.
You're watching 90210 and taking your bad guy around the farm.
Exactly. Not caring, but when she was, I think she was going out with Luke Perry, but she was looking pretty hot. But then when I got the internet in my room, those shows kind of went away. But
see, they used to do on YouTube like the compilations.
Oh.
And that was where it was at, man. It'd be like Stacy Keibler HD compilation. And it'd be all these like slow-mo shots. And that shit was awesome.
Yeah, and the man show was good too. The chicks jumping on the.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the trampolines. Hello?
Hello, Mr. Red. It's Joe the Supermarket.
Oh, sorry.
I just want to let you guys know that it's Hulk Boulder in the Coco Pebbles commercial, not Terry Boulder.
Okay.
Terry Boulder is the name that Hulk Hogan wrestled as.
Thank you. Sorry, Joe, but thank you for making sure. Oh, button didn't work for my gunshots. But yeah, Grouper Lips, $20 on the snipe, but he did give us information. So thank you so much. Are you talking about, when did YouTube come out?
2006.
Oh.
So this was like 2009, 2010.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You're so young.
Yeah, 2010, I was 12 years old.
Okay, that makes sense. Because I'm thinking of like 98, 99 when I got my computer and the 14.4 dial-up, waiting for those Tiffany Amber Thiessen pictures to come up on the thing.
The dial-up, it would take 5 minutes to load an entire web page.
No, I mean, it wasn't that. Well, it actually was worse. Because I remember if I downloaded a picture, I would go outside and play like maybe 15, 20 minutes of basketball.
And then you'd come back in and check.
Yeah.
You're like, let me go check real quick.
Yeah, because I think the computer in my room was like a 14.4. And so I'd get it going, then I'd go outside and I'd shoot basketballs for like 15, 20 minutes, come back in, and it might be halfway done and be like, ooh. Because you couldn't preview either, so you were going off text. See, now I'm going to teach you something here, Rhett.
Oh, you had to read the description and make sure the photo was steamy enough to be brought up.
Correct.
Is it going to be worth the 25 minutes that I have to wait around
exactly
for this to load up and print?
So if it was like, let's just, Judy blah blah blah, topless,
Judy Jugs,
Judy Jugs, topless and bare bottoms, I'd be like, okay, and then you read down and be like 32 triple Ds, and I was like, okay, download. All right, I'm waiting, and you see it starts, and turn the monitor off, go downstairs, play 15, like I said, 15, 20 minutes of basketball, come back up. All right, those jugs are really good. Okay, let me go out. I'm going to go play basketball. Got the full thing done. Then
you're outside playing basketball, and I have to imagine that every single minute you're out there feels like the longest minute of your life.
Oh, it does.
It feels like you've been out there for 20 minutes, and it's only been 4.
Exactly. I felt like 100 free throws just getting it. And then depending on, this was the Lummy determination, is that if I felt like it was like good enough, then you print it. So then you always have have a copy of it, and you don't have to wait for that 45-minute download. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I couldn't imagine.
This is how listen. That's how I had to grow up. And then when the internet started, I was excited when I got a 56K modem. That cut down basketball time. And just think when it was Roadrunner. When Roadrunner came out, the basketball hoop never got played again. Yes, Ashley. Dot Matrix boobies. Listen, this is a little horny Lummy at 13, 14 years old.
It's all right. I get it.
Yeah, well, you were already you were already bypassing all that. And
I had
high speed internet.
Yeah, it's like the equivalent of the kids in high school these days having AI do their fucking homework for them. Like, if only I was a little bit younger, I could have had a little bit easier access. But I actually had, at a very young age, figured out the lovely world of tits and ass thanks to my dad's Playboy collection. I was 4 years old, and he was still with my mom at the time, and I don't know if it was a buddy that gave it to him, if it was a guy that he worked with, but essentially at the time, this was 2002, 2003, at the time, he had every single edition of Playboy in a box under his bed. He had from the first edition all the way up to like that year's, that month's edition or whatever. And I remember I used to go under his bed once I figured out where they were, and I would take like 4 or 5 at a time, and then I would go in my room. And my mom would tell me this. I'd kick my feet up on my little Rugrats recliner that I had. And usually on the back of Playboys, you can't tell that it's a Playboy because it would be an ad for like chewing tobacco or NASCAR.
Almost like the Sports Illustrated.
Yeah. So she would come around the corner and she'd see me fucking sitting there with my feet kicked up, just reading through my Playboy. And she'd think nothing of it. And she'd go back around the corner or whatever. So a couple weeks go by. And my cousin Jesse is babysitting me. And I don't know if I'm laying down for a nap or if I'm playing outside, but I'm not in my room. She starts cleaning my room. She's doing my laundry. She takes the sheets off of my bed.
Were they sticky?
And lifts up my mattress. And underneath my mattress, but above the box frame of the bed, is like 5 or 6 Playboys just shoved in there. So she told my mom, and my mom told my dad, and he came home and beat me. But
nice.
Yeah.
See, I don't think my dad ever had them. I could never find my dad's Playboy because people at school would tell me, hey, you probably your dad has some Playboy. So when they would leave, I'd go around their room, and I never could find them. I mean, the best thing I had, which I've said multiple times, was like the JCPenney catalog,
right.
The Sunday ads, and then also when the Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition came out. But
I remember I went to my uncle. This was 2010. My uncle bought me a Buccaneers cheerleaders calendar, and I got in so much trouble that
by
I
who?
never used it.
Your mom?
By my dad, my stepmom, yeah.
Oh, your dad probably took it.
Probably. Shit.
I mean, he probably took it and was like, your son, I never wanted you to use this again. You're not allowed to have it. So 902.
Hey, brother, Tampa Terry here, calling in from Canada. How's it going, Chief?
Good. What did Canada have back in the day for internet? Because I think you're my age.
Yeah, it was the internet was kind of slow up here. I was starting off with the magazines, bro. Luckily, my dad did have a Playboy subscription, so whenever he was out doing something, doing yard work or whatever, I would sneak in there and look through the Playboys. Pamela Anderson was very popular in Canada at that time. She's from Canada. But, I mean, I swear to God, I'm not just saying this. The articles in Playboy actually were good. So sometimes I'd be reading the article and I wouldn't even, by the time I hear the door opening and my dad coming back in, I didn't even get to all the naked chicks yet. And I'd be like, shit, I'd have to hide the magazine and scurry out of there.
Did they have Canadian?
One of the other good magazines back then, if you didn't have access to a Playboy, was, and this is going to sound questionable at first, but I'll explain.
Oh, boy.
Was WWF magazine, brother. And no, I was not jacking it to Roddy Piper and Bret Hart or whoever, but eventually in the late 90s they had some hot chicks there, Sable and Sunny and Deborah, and so that was a good one too, a good hidden
did they ever have
gem
any
there
Canadian porn kind of Playboy, or did Canada just rip off all our dirty magazines?
We had the American ones, but on Canadian television, the liberal Canadian government funded a lot of Canadian movies and a lot of Canadian porno movies. So there was all kinds of late night Canadian low budget pornos on cable television up here.
But what is actually Canadians, or were you just?
I'm sorry, brother, I didn't hear you. Can you repeat that?
What was that, Rhett?
Oh, I said government porn, my favorite.
Yeah, government funded porn. But I just wanted to say that, I say all that to say this. That's neither here nor there. The shows this week, last week were great. I loved when, Bubba almost had to blast that fool that was stepping to you guys. But, luckily that worked out good. And, hey, great shows, brothers.
Thank you.
Thank you, Terry.
Yeah, that was my next topic. I mean, Monday, big show.
I was just going to say, though, he does make a valid point with WWF, I guess, WWE Magazine. Because when I was 8 or 9 years old and I was, balls deep in WWE history at that time, there was an issue of WWE magazine that they released, and you might be able to Google it. It was like the cover of it was solid gold, and it said 300 greatest stories ever told in WWE magazine. And one of the segments in that magazine was like the 50th. If you type in WWE magazine 300, it'll probably pop up. But one of the segments was like 50 hottest things ever said by a WWE diva. And those spread, there it is, the 300 greatest WWE stories ever told. Inside that magazine was just a bunch of pictures of like all the divas at the time, the scantily clad stuff that they featured in the magazine. But this was like the mother load. This was the ultimate spread.
Nice.
$15. I might buy that magazine again.
And the last story before we go on the midweek wrap up, because we have a big important meeting.
We do. Is that at noon?
Yes, it is.
All right.
We had to get ready for it, and I got to get home. My nephew's coming over with his kid to play with my kid. He's from California, so liberal California. But is Monday, I didn't know what was going on from my little corner over there.
He's talking about when Bubba almost fucking killed that guy?
Yeah, when the Uber driver came in, I heard the door, and I was like, oh, fuck, Rhett. Did you let the door slip? Because I think you came in and out.
Yeah.
Like, there was like 5 minutes earlier because Scout was barking. Sorry. Hold on. Scout was barking, and you ran out quick.
Yeah, because I was Monday. Macho wasn't here, so it was me and Scout and engineering, and I had come in here to basically hook up Jay's camera. And as I was doing that, she started barking. We were on the air, so I flipped the fuck out and I ran out because obviously I never want that to happen. So I went to go do that, and then I came in and I got this camera set up or whatever, and literally 5 or 10 minutes later is when I heard that door slam. And I knew that everybody had assumed it was me because usually during the show, like, I'm the only one running in and out of the studio. Maybe Macho Man every now and again. But I immediately... I really didn't know what to think, honestly. Like, it's a good thing that guy wasn't here to hurt us because we all would have died.
Well, I think I might have been the only one to survive.
Yeah, but, I mean, what if he picked off everyone else and you weren't packing heat, and he just slowly walked around the corner and he saw you were the last one there? That's what I'm saying.
I'd be hiding under the desk like I hid behind the tire.
It could have been awful.
Yeah, exactly. And then hopefully, maybe Bubba got at least 1 or 2 shots off. Hopefully. I mean, I don't want anyone to die, but I like my little corner, and all I know is when I didn't even have I don't have my video ever pulled up now because I got all the chats going.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm like, Rhett, man, what the fuck? And then Bubba's like, I pulled the gun out. I was like, whoa,
fucking shoot,
what?
Rhett.
I was like, what's going on? And then I see Anna's like posing for pictures, and then she has I'm like, oh, fuck me. God damn it. And then obviously we had the 3 things. I mean, I took credit for the door because most likely it was the last time I went in there and I fucked up and didn't lock it. But that would have went viral. So
what's so funny too is that I didn't know how to react. Also because Anna started laughing.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, okay, someone fucked up. Like maybe Merch Crick accidentally slammed the door trying to be sneaky, or like something funny is happening. But everyone else was in a state of panic. Everyone else was like, "What are you doing?" And then we figured out it was the Uber Eats guy, and obviously once we figured that out, we were fine. Good. But it's just funny because everyone was also and it's going up on the YouTube channel today. It is up on the Twitter. It went up on the Twitter yesterday for anyone who can't wait to see it. But it will go up on YouTube after this show. And the weirdest part, HS, is that the guy didn't say anything. He just stood there and stared at everybody. And from what I heard, he looked kind of annoyed. Like, he looked annoyed to be in here.
Well, I mean,
it's like, dude, fucking read the room.
Yeah, you're an Uber driver.
All these signs that say on air, bright red signs.
Yeah.
Maybe he thought it was like a prank or something. Maybe he thought we were going to be some TikTok guys who were like, oh, surprise!
Yeah. Until I looked over and saw Bubba holding his gun up. Let's take this last call and get out of here before our big time meeting. 561 562. Can't read. 562. Going once. 62.
Hey, sir.
Yeah. This explains the number. 62.
Hey, man. Caviar.
Hey, what's up, Caviar?
Hey,
Of course, you're going to be the last caller.
I'm kind of late on the shows. How did Rhett get the strap?
Red got the strap because he did a great job.
He always does a great job.
I was just going to let Red explain it. I have my notes in front of me, Caviar.
for the Bart video.
Yeah.
Oh, cool, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate it.
Sweet. Hey, also, hey, Lum, call me in a few minutes regarding the other factor.
Yeah, I will. I'll call you when I get done. When we hang everything up here before our meeting we have at 12. So I'll give you a call.
All right, sure.
All right, don't sound so excited.
Great show, man. Thank you for
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, JC.
JC's great.
He is. He's a great guy. Thank you, Red.
Thank you, Lummy. Had a good time chopping it up. Kind of felt like the show flew by today.
It sure did. Could have went another 30 minutes. We can't. Because we got to make everything better for everybody here.
That's our job.
So, everyone, thank you so much for tuning in to the midweek show that might be moving next week. We will definitely let you know as soon as we know what exact week we are moving. That's not me being a dick. That is me being honest with you guys. But we do definitely appreciate all of you. And don't forget, there's also some new stuff up on Bubba Army Shop, Bubba Army Merch, BubbaArmyStore.com. Check it out. That's where you can get all your Bubba Army merch. And you know what? As the commercials say, if you missed today's show like HS Bubba Fan did, he goes on BubbaArmyHQ.com and he does the catch up right then whenever he wants because he is, I believe, a lieutenant. So thank you, HS Bubba Fan. Rhett, I will see you tomorrow, and we will see you guys tomorrow right here on all your platforms, 6 a.m. Thank you. Have a good rest of your day.
See you.